You are listening to Unified Through Chronic and Mental Illness with your hosts, Angie Roberts and Kimberly Murphy. Please be advised that some of the topics of this podcast can be triggering and sensitive in nature.
Relationship coach Tony Gaskin says 90% of people don't even know what a healthy relationship is.
Hey everyone, welcome to Unified. This is Kimberly. This week we're talking about 10 ways to tell that you're in a healthy relationship. And we did do a poll on social media and chose a few that we felt had really unique advice. So you'll be hearing those as well.
So I was reading on Pinterest the other day. I was reading some poetry. I always like to go on there. They always have interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I found this when I was searching positive relationships. The truth is, none of us are easy to date, deal with, or please all the time. We have our vices, attitudes, and way of doing things that make us unique. You won't like everything about somebody. It's impossible. This is life, and it isn't about finding the perfect person. There's no such thing. It isn't about living some fairy tale. It's about finding someone you're willing to work for and who is willing to work for you. It's simple, yet so hard to achieve.
I agree with that so much. It's really true because I think a lot of people do think there's that perfect person. And so, when they start to exhibit a flaw or something, they feel like there was a bait and switch. They're like, well, you were like this when we first started out. And really the reality is that they're just getting comfortable with you and you're starting to know the full person.
Right.
That's when you get to the real stuff. I mean, my husband always said to me, you only love somebody as much as you love their flaws.
Right.
And I think that's true.
Speaking of your husband and you, Kimberly,
Yeah.
how long have you guys been married?
We've been married for 18 years, and we got married on our 5th anniversary of living together. And we've known each other since we were teenagers. So that's a long time to know somebody.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your advice on a long-lasting relationship?
Well, I think I completely agree with this quote.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to love the person through their worst moments.
Right.
And it's going to take a lot of compromise, and it's going to take, no relationship is perfect. Everybody out there who's been in a long-term relationship knows that there are dark times that are hard. When you work through it together and you come out stronger, you're with a really great person. And I think a lot of it is, everyone says communication and things like that. Those are, of course, right? But
Right.
I think it's honoring your commitment and remembering the person that you love. Even love is about reminding somebody who they are when they forget.
Aw, that's so sweet. I like that.
Yeah. So, you have to be that person for them.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. I think I read that on Pinterest.
You're so silly.
I did. I think I did, actually. So, Angie, what are your thoughts on a healthy relationship?
Well, since I'm divorced, I am still single, so I'm not in a long-term relationship, but I've been in many relationships. I'm 41, so I know kind of what I don't want and what I do want and what I will accept and what I won't accept. The first thing you need to do is learn to set your boundaries. Mm-hmm. What will you accept and what will you not accept?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you stick to that, just like if you had a child. And I have a child, so I have to be really careful about who I date or who I bring him around. I don't want to fall in love with somebody and then I can't bring them around my child. Not saying that I would bring my child around them. I'm just saying that would be a lot.
Or the alternative, the alternative, your son falls in love with them too, and then they disappear.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so lovey-dovey. He would probably do that. So.
And that's a fair expectation to have of somebody,
Right. Yeah. And, I like humor.
Mhm.
Humor is great.
Humor is really important. Yeah.
Yes, humor is important to me in a relationship. Communication is also very important to me. But another thing that is very important to me is that you can have an intelligent conversation.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I can't do it if you don't have an intelligent conversation. I'm sorry, I just can't.
Well, there's some
Um,
people who are attracted to people who are intelligent. I definitely,
well, that
my
would be
husband is
me.
really smart, and we have great conversations.
Right. And, right. And just respect and just be loyal. And I'm at the point like I need to find an actual husband. And
Mhm.
that's like somewhere I've never been before. Like I never felt the urge to have to find a husband. But
Right.
if I'm gonna do things right with Jacob, he
Yeah.
needs to have a dad. And I don't mean I'm searching for a dad for my son,
No.
but that is part of the package
Yeah.
is, like I'm dating with a purpose, not meaning that every date that I go on, oh, I'm marrying this person. No, I'm
Right.
dating with the purpose of getting to know you. And if you don't want
You
to,
don't want to waste your time. I mean,
right.
and I can
Yeah.
relate to what you're saying because I was a single mom with my first son, and we were a package deal. And if you couldn't deal with that, you couldn't deal with me.
Right.
It's
And
that
Jacob and I
simple.
are so close. Like
Yep.
you ain't getting us apart. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just how it is.
That's the truth. You know
He'll
what I
come
could see?
find me.
I can completely see you finding like this really great guy and Jacob being so jealous.
Yeah, I
You are,
know, right?
whoever Mr. Right, you better get ready because this little boy,
He is something else.
he is attached to his mama. He loves her. Yeah.
Our number one is have a good friendship as a base.
Absolutely.
A healthy relationship has a base of a good friendship. You should be best friends, someone you can tell everything and anything to, your most trusted person. That's, I think.
I agree with that too. It's like there's a lot of gray anatomy fans out there, I'm sure, that say, you're my person. Um, I think for myself in my relationship, there was that basis of friendship and respect, which I think is
Mhm.
also very important. Because I knew we were friends and I knew that this was a person who was very trustworthy and respectful to other people. He was actually the people would go to talk to because he was non-judgmental. And I respected that. And we became very good friends. And, he is my best friend. So,
Aw.
well, okay, so here's another thing. There's like I have friends who date and stuff and they're like, I don't want to date my friend because I don't want to ruin the friendship. And I can understand how it would be scary. I was petrified that I was going to ruin the friendship.
Right.
Because what if you break up? What's going to happen? But you're never going to have that really deep love or deep relationship if you're not friends. You have to be friends.
You
And
do.
your good
You
friends
have
are
to be the best of friends.
yeah, and like that person that you're really close to is a great person to date. Like that's the person you want to have a possible relationship with. Somebody that you already know you really like. Which
Right. What do they say? The first person that you want to run tell the best news to, like when you find out the
mhm.
best news, is the person that
Yes.
you really want to be with or
Yeah,
something like that.
I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
So Unchained Hero 777, who is a male, I just want to say that because we had mostly women answer.
Right.
He says open, calm, understanding communication, loyalty, respect, love, and care. He was from TikTok. So number two, love languages. There's this really cool book called The Five Love Languages by Jerry Chapman. Um, and this is knowing how a person gives and how they receive love. And there are 5 ways: words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, acts of service, or physical touch. So the first one is really important to me, words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
I've had self-esteem issues for a long time. So, and just been
Yeah.
a Debbie Downer thinker. I'm not going to lie. Once you get stuck in that rut of thinking negative, like we've talked about on a past podcast, it's really hard to get,
I think
into positive thinking.
I think too, like if you are not getting those words of affirmation, it's very easy. Like there's holes and there's things you're wondering about, and it's very easy to put negativity in those patches of, that
I
lack
agree.
of communication. So you're going to think the worst. And
Right.
yeah, so somebody who is naturally like that, I could see how words of affirmation would be crucial to a relationship.
Especially, like an overthinker.
Hmm. Me, I'm an overthinker.
Yeah, I know there's no overthinkers out there, right?
None.
So the second is quality time. What do
Hmm.
you have to say about that one, Kimberly?
Well, quality time can mean anything from if you can sit in a room with somebody and not
Mhm.
talk, like that's hard for people, right? If you can sit with somebody and not talk and not do anything and still feel connected, like I think that's also quality time. But also,
Just comfortable. You're comfortable. You're
right. Then
relaxed. Yeah.
and you're with somebody that you really care about. But also
Right.
dating, you have to date. You can't stop dating.
Right.
Having long talks. My husband and I actually walk in this park every day as part of our exercise, and we have our deepest talks during those walks.
Aw.
So every day we have that quality time to just talk
Right.
about things, and we know it's just us, so we don't have to, we could talk about whatever.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's important. I think that's really important.
So the third one is gifts. I like to give gifts to show love. I
Me
like to
too.
get gifts too, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they love me. But I love gifts.
I'm a gift giver
I can't help
too.
it. But I'm a gift
And
giver for sure.
yeah, I am too. And some people don't appreciate it. Like, have you noticed, like, some people think you're trying to buy them, which is it's kind of sad, right? Because us gift givers put a lot of thought into our gifts.
Yeah, but that's why we have to learn these love languages and
Hmm.
how the person receives love is,
Right.
it's why it's so important. Number 4 is acts of service. So that could be washing the dishes for your partner or making the bed,
Hmm.
picking up your clothes, men off the floor.
Cooking
Did I
dinner.
did I say men? I don't think I said men. Did I make that slip?
It
Right,
could be,
making dinner.
making dinner like, you know what this reminds me of, though? You said men on TikTok. Those of you who watch TikTok, there's that thing where it's like, all these manly looking men are like, this is how you get a
Mm,
woman. And they're like vacuuming and they're like washing the
right.
dishes.
It's funny.
And it is really funny. But a lot of women need that, especially working women who come home and they're just exhausted.
Right.
Steve Harvey talks a lot about this, where, if men can help around the house, then the women will have more energy for them later. Wink, wink, kind of thing. So, acts of service can mean a lot to women, especially.
Right.
But I think that, like, one of the things that really bonded me and my husband too is the fact that he knew I would, cook for him and things like that. So men really appreciate that. And I loved to do it. So that really kind of cemented us as a couple also. So acts of
Yes,
service. Yeah, I can see that.
ladies, if you don't know how to cook, please take some lessons or something. It's all over YouTube. Seriously, men love it when you cook
They
for them.
do. Like when they
They do.
say
It's like a big act of service for them.
it's
They
one
love
of
it.
the ways to their heart is through their stomach. It's absolutely true. They love it. They feel cared for.
And number 5 is physical touch.
Mm-hmm. And we don't
So go
just
ahead and
mean.
talk about that, Kimberly.
Okay, so I'm just going to put it out there right off the bat. I am not a huge affectionate person. I was not a hugger. I became a hugger. I'm a huge hugger now, but I had to learn it because I wasn't in a family that was, huggers or whatever. So
All right.
my husband, on the other hand, is extremely affectionate. He's somebody who's just like, he'll always have his hands like touching you or whatever.
Aw.
Just being close, cuddling, like whenever we go somewhere, we're holding hands, things like that. So I had to learn that. And it can be uncomfortable for someone who's like not affectionate, you know.
It can be, yeah.
I'm not
but
like
it can be
completely
learned so that you can
and I
make
think
the other person happy.
right. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is that even if it's not your love language, you can absolutely learn how to be good at whatever that person needs. Like you said, take a cooking class, you know, become a hugger, hug everybody. That's what I did. That's how I, I started hugging everybody and got more comfortable with that kind of stuff.
This is how you know you have a relationship that is healthy, is when you want to do these things for your partner. You know what I mean? It's not that you're feeling, oh, well, I gotta learn to cook. It's like, no, it'd be really nice if I learned to cook for him, or
I was excited about it. Yeah. I couldn't wait to like make a nice dinner and set the table really pretty, even if I didn't have a lot of stuff, and just knowing that we were going to spend that time together, and see his reaction, you know, and things like it's exciting if you like the person you're spending time with.
Yeah, when I was married, yes, I have an ex-husband, you guys. So I was married when I was 22, 23, really young, really dumb. Not that he was a bad person. I don't know why I don't remember what age I was. But I used to like to cook for my husband and try to do little things for him, you know, that he liked. He liked gifts and he liked physical touch and certain things. So, you know, some of the things I would try to do with him, I was not a perfect wife, and we weren't a perfect couple, obviously, because we're not together anymore. But yeah, I think these things are really, really important to learn, because it just helps communication be so much better.
Right. And it also helps, like, if people look at it this way, a lot of couples don't make it because their needs are not being fulfilled. So this is like a way to address that, you know, in a way that's non-threatening. Because you can say to somebody, you know, I really care about gifts. Like, to me, I remember one of my friends. Okay, here's a perfect example. It was Valentine's Day. And I told my husband way back, even before we got married, I was like, you know what? If you never acknowledge Valentine's Day, it's okay with me. And I'm telling you now, because I don't want you to ever feel obligated, and I will not feel bad. But my friend was completely the opposite. She got so mad because she didn't get a card. All she wanted was a card. She didn't get a card, and she broke up with her boyfriend. Had there been a conversation,
I was going to say, there's no communication.
Exactly. Had she told him how important that was to her.
And then we start with expectations and the expectations of them knowing what we want. And
there's
we
like
have to talk about it.
A lot of women will say, if I have to tell you, then I don't want it. Like, I'm supposed to read your mind, you know, like the guy's like, I'm supposed to read your mind. Well, if I have to tell you, why should I have to tell you? You should already know. How am I supposed to know? Like, how am I supposed to know? I know, I feel bad for guys, because
shout out to the men.
I know, because this is usually a woman thing. Like, it seriously is. So number 3 is difficult for a lot of people, and it kind of goes around respect and boundaries. You got to fight fairly. You have to fight fairly. You're going to have fights. Everybody does. There's no perfect relationship. So you want to have open communication, and you should feel safe talking to your partner about whatever it is you're disagreeing about. You know, you shouldn't feel scared to say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I want, or this is what I disagree with. You should feel safe enough to bring it up.
Right. And you definitely should not feel like you're going to be abused. So if you're feeling that way, please do what you need to get out.
Yeah. I mean, we're not sitting here saying, hey, you know, that guy that verbally abuses you, you should, you know, try really hard to compromise or no abuse of any kind. And verbal abuse is abuse. So if they try to intimidate you, if they call you names, if they character assassinate, if they shame you, these are all things we've talked about in toxic relationships. But in a healthy relationship, you know, you can talk. None of that. Right. You have none of that. Your conversations should lead to some compromise and some resolution. That doesn't always happen right away, but it's something that you need to work on together, whatever the issue is. And boundaries are like a healthy way to keep your separate identities. This is another thing that me and my husband always kind of thought about is, he's an individual and so am I, but then there's the us. It creates like a new being, a new entity, a new person, right? Because our relationship is something that we created together. It wouldn't exist without us. But it's not all of who we are.
I think that's a beautiful analogy, by the way.
Yeah, and so if you look at it like a separate entity, there's things that you have to do to make it healthy, strong, and survive. Otherwise, it disappears and you're back to individuals.
It's kind of like your little baby.
Exactly. That's
nourish
exactly
your relationship.
Right. Yes, exactly. If you want it to grow up, you have to nourish it.
Right.
So there's some things that you need to do to also respect each other's separate identities, I guess, your separate being. Like you should respect their privacy. There's all these girls. Sorry, girls, I'm going to pick on you again. Actually, guys do this too. I
was going to say, this is a people thing.
It is, but women will go through a man's phone, whatever she can do to find out, to see if something's going on. And if you have to do that, then you don't trust your partner and you're already in a non-healthy relationship.
Right.
There was this woman that I know, and I'm not going to say her name, but her husband used to bug her phone. He bugged her phone to hear every conversation that she was having. And this was a woman who never cheated. Come to find out later, he was the cheater. But what an invasion of privacy to not be able to have a conversation with anybody on the phone without your husband having it recorded.
Right. That's
next level. Like that's
disrespect and like, I don't know.
That's kind of crazy. It's kind of like stalkerish, but that's next level. And then also you have to have respect for the person's opinion because you're not going to think the same way. And why would you want to?
Right.
Because I do think a relationship should also challenge you to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that's going to happen is if you don't always think the same about all things. So, I mean, if you don't respect their opinion, you're going to have a lot of fights.
Right. And like you said, everybody has a different opinion. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion.
And their feelings are valid. All their feelings are valid. Yeah.
Yes. Every feeling. Yes. All feelings are valid.
You have to be open to compromise and negotiation though, too. So like, if somebody's way over here and the other is way over there, you have to find a way where you can meet in the middle where neither of you are compromising to the point where you feel like you are losing what you value. So compromise is good, but until you get to the point where you're giving up something you value, maybe like a moral that you have, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. You can't do that.
Right. As long as you are not giving up on who you are and what you value and what you believe in.
Let's don't forget, don't take everything out on your partner. If you have a bad day at work, come home and maybe unwind first, or just tell them you had a bad day and go take a shower, or do something. Try not to taking it out on them. It really does no good, and it causes issues.
Yeah, I mean, the person should be your safe place to fall, but not your punching bag. So safe place to fall, not a punching bag.
You're right, literally or metaphorically.
And, you have to respect their time and space. I mean, they're not going to be on 100%. They're not always going to be, ready to spend time with you. I think a lot of a relationship is just being comfortable living together. You have to have that in common or learned living space, like your everyday rhythm of how you live together. And that takes that takes a lot of time to learn, but give them their space. Give them their space.
The honeymoon phase is not all it's cracked up to be.
That is not the relationship. It's fun and it's great. I think a lot of people actually are addicted to that. And so when that goes away, they think the relationship is failing.
But see, people have talked about, and I am not shaming anybody. I lived with my ex-husband before I moved in with him, before I married him. So, but they say that if you move in with them, you kind of have that honeymoon phase before you get married.
Right.
Therefore, when you get married, and it was like that for us, like we had the honeymoon phase, then we got married, and then everything kind of went downhill. It was, we didn't get a honeymoon phase while we were married.
Right. Yeah.
Because we already had it.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron and I were together for 5 years.
You all are still in your honeymoon phase. I don't want to hear anything.
I'm just saying that we were living together for 5 years before we got married. And but what I'm saying is that, for the first 6 months that we were together, and this is usually what it turns out to be for most people, 6 months to a year, you're just so crazy in love, it's insane. And nobody can keep that up forever. Like, you're just like, I think it's more infatuation. Like, you're falling in love, the infatuation is there, you just can't get enough of each other.
Right.
And a lot of people, I think, feel like that is going to be the way it is forever. And could you imagine if I would be tired?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people are infatuated with each other. And then when that goes away, they feel like the relationship is failing. And really, when you get to that point, that's where it's really beginning. Because now you're starting to learn, can you live together? Will this relationship survive? Is it going to go deeper?
A healthy relationship starts with a healthy diet, including but not limited to good fruit. What is the fruit? But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. With good fruit like this on a couple's menu, they're bound to live happily ever after.
I was wondering where she was going with that. And oh my goodness, that is so clever, Bevy Brown.
She is a very clever poster.
And great advice. It's great advice. Wow.
It's beautiful advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, straight from the Bible there.
Oh, okay. That's beautiful.
Number 4 is being a top priority. Even if someone is, really busy, they're going to make time for you no matter what, especially if it's something important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to make the time to talk to you. People make time for what they want to make time for.
Exactly.
And if you can remember that,
it'll save you a lot of heartache.
It will, because there's guys out there that are like, oh, I promise you, I will get a text and it'll be somebody I ain't talked to in 2 years. Oh, you ain't talking to me anymore? What?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ghosting people is like a thing now. There's a lot of ghosting going on.
Right.
But, I'm so sorry I haven't talked to you in like a week. I've been so busy.
Right.
And like, okay, so people do get busy.
But it happens once. I mean, I understand.
People get busy. But if you're like, something really important is happening and they're still too busy for you, like, they're not making you a priority.
Right.
If they can't make you a priority for 5 minutes in their day, even if they're busy, something's going on. That's not right. What are they thinking of you? For real. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
And here's another biggie. It is not a dating relationship forever. Your relationship should progress, unless that is what you want. Okay. Now, this isn't to the people that live together forever and they mutually want to live together forever. This is to the people that the woman wants to get married or the man wants to get married. If your relationship is not progressing within like a year, you're not even going anywhere at all.
Right.
You're still just dating. And then it comes another year and you're still just dating.
Mm-hmm.
It's really time for you to think about, is that really what you want? But, dating should be not a problem. It should be something that you do and it helps your relationship to progress anyway.
Yeah. I mean, basically, if you're dating after 2 years and you're not even living together and you're not moving towards anything permanent, you are wasting your time.
You are.
Yeah.
If you start arguing a lot too, and somebody just starts being quiet, it's called withdrawing. And that can be a huge red flag that your relationship needs help. And of course, you can always get help. Like, you can always get a counselor. Mm-hmm. You can go to trusted friends, which I actually think you should get a counselor. I don't think you should bring your friends or family into it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, do you, Kimberly?
Nope. I learned that the hard way. And I learned it when I was actually in a toxic relationship, but you definitely should not bring your especially your family, because
Yeah.
when you make up, they remember all the stuff you told them.
Right. And they don't like
and they
that.
didn't get to make up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they didn't get that like resolution. So all you're doing is causing a lot of conflict in your life, which again, like if your family and your friends are starting to look at your relationship as unhealthy, they are going to get between you and your relationship. So you need to keep that in mind. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. If it's toxic, you should absolutely reach for help. But if you're just in a relationship where you're having issues with communication, or it's not moving as fast as you want it to, a counselor is a great person to talk to about something like that.
Even sitting down and just having just a good old conversation may help.
Yeah.
Just lay everything out on the table conversation. Sometimes that can just help.
I know, because a lot of women are like, why hasn't he asked me to marry him? But they won't talk to the guy about it. And then there's some girls who are like, where's my ring? 6 months, pal. If you don't give me a ring in 6 months, I'm gone.
That's crazy.
Well, it is crazy, but at the same time, they're laying it out there.
I say it's crazy. I'm not shaming you. I'm sorry. If that's what you want to do, that's great.
Yeah. I mean,
not for me.
I wouldn't do that either. No, I wouldn't do that either. I think that the most important thing is to respect each other. And so, issues like this, you have to put respect first. And if you do that, then you'll be open-minded to what, each other has to say. Because there could be a really good reason your partner's not ready for marriage. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you have to take into account. Their history, maybe their parents didn't have a great relationship and they're scared, you just never know what's going on. So
you never know. Right. You really never do, unless you ask sometimes. Sometimes they, especially men are harder to just come out and say things, I feel.
Well, again, like I think we talked about this in the previous podcast about how it's hard for them to be vulnerable.
Right.
Yeah. And, but,
and we get it, guys.
Even with all of that, you need to make each other a top priority. If you are not a top priority, that speaks volumes. In a healthy relationship, you are a top priority.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that leads to number 5.
Romance. Which a lot of us will.
Right. So dating on a regular, sex, setting aside time to check in with each other, not settling into a routine with each other. Keep that relationship spontaneous.
Yeah, make it fun. You got to have fun together. Right. I mean, why else would I don't know. I think you do need to make it fun. And like they said, it says setting time aside to check in with each other. It's like that girl is always like, I want that morning text. I want that good night text if we're not together, like if it's a new relationship.
Right.
Expecting to get it is not necessarily good, but getting it shows you that this person really cares. So, and like spontaneousness, like I've been with my husband for 23 years and he just surprised me with a condo on the beach on the Aquarius moon. It was so beautiful.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, it was beautiful. She took pictures for me. So great.
And I put the video on my Facebook page. But and then like he wanted to go skydiving, and I was so scared of that. I didn't want anything to happen to him, and like I would never do that. But because it was his dream, like one of his birthdays, I got that for him, and he went and did that. So you kind of have to like, I don't know. Why would you be together if you don't want those things for each other?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. You've got to want to push each other.
And just, you want to be there to be fun for each other. Like I always felt like my goal is this, okay? This might sound funny, but my goal is to be sitting on a porch swing when I'm old with my husband and us looking back on everything and saying, wow, that was fun.
Aw, and y'all will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And so
Kimberly and Aaron are one of my couple goals people. They have a beautiful relationship.
You have to want the best for the other person, which actually leads us to number 6, which is giving grace. if a person is having a really hard time, like I said before, loving someone is reminding them of who they are when they've forgotten. And so, compromising is important, but also apologize. Don't hold grudges. Don't be like a month later, well, you did this. Women are great. They have like awesome memories. We're great at like 6 months later bringing up, well, you did this, during a fight. Feel free to express your opinion, but accept that your partner's going to make mistakes, and you need to let them go. If you're going to stay with somebody after they've made a mistake, you have to be able to forgive them and let it go. And I'm not talking about big mistakes like he hit you or he's cheating, or those are not mistakes. Okay. Like when you have a fight about something, maybe somebody spent too much money. That's like a big one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody stayed out too late with their friends.
Right. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you have a fight about that, and you have to come to some sort of conclusion, and let it go, and don't bring it up again. It's gone. Once you've there's been a resolution, unless it keeps happening, just let it go. You got to give grace to your partner. None of us are perfect.
Renee Webb on Facebook says, start with knowing and loving yourself to a certain point, then always communication, trust, and loyalty. Those are 3 foundations that make up any relationship. Except you are together to grow, not to change each other. Always make sure your partner is okay and take the time just for them. Date nights, movies, making nice dinner, massages. Learning to agree to disagree is a big thing too, and never, I mean it, never leave angry or without at least saying, I love you. You never know if that'll be the last time. Cherish the little moments. They only come once. You really have to encourage your partner, which is number 7. You should have separate goals and dreams, and you should be encouraging your partner through their goals, just as they should you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're a team, and, you should boost each other up, and, best friends do that for each other too.
Right.
Any kind of relationship that's positive, you should be happy for their achievements, and you should be, clapping for them. You should be, supportive.
You know what it reminds me of? Like, you've seen the guys that work out together and they're like, come on, man, let's go.
Exactly.
One more.
Yeah.
That is your person. That's the person you need to be. You're in the corner, working the shoulders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're the one that is right behind them.
Yep. Chrissy Dean, who is actually my husband's sister, she says, selflessness, making sure to fill each other's love language, communication, and trust. Never stop dating. We have made Friday nights our date night for over 25 years. Can be as simple as going for coffee or extravagant as dinner and a night at a B&B. Most important aspect about date night is put the phones down. No interruptions. Focus completely on your spouse.
Yes, put the phones down.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8 says you need to embrace their flaws. Which is, it can be really hard. That's smacking sometimes when they eat something or snoring.
Right? Like there's these little things, especially
what did you say? Embrace. Did y'all say embrace this?
There's things that like when you start living with someone, especially, like you start to learn all these little things about them and you're like, what?
Right. But embracing their flaws. Like when I was listening to one of the TED Talks, he said, like your wife and your husband tells a corny joke. And instead of being like, oh, he's so stupid, being like, oh, honey, you're so silly, and giving him a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And you just embrace you embrace his quirks. You embrace his quirkiness.
Oh, that's really good. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
You kind of take the heat off of them.
And, also, like, I think we're talking a lot about husbands and wives, This could
Right.
go for friendships. This could go for your, relationship with your siblings, your parents.
Oh, definitely.
Obviously not the romance one, but
Right.
you
Keep
know
it
what
in
I mean.
perspective.
Right. But I mean, a lot of these things, it's just things you need to do with people that you care about. I mean, you should embrace their flaws. You should give them grace. You should have realistic expectations.
Yes, that is number 9.
We are who we are, and you can never change a person. If you go out with a person, and oh my God, there are so many women who think a man is a project. He's
There's men
great.
that can think that too, though.
Yeah, you're probably right
I
about
can
that.
change her.
I think that it happens a lot, and then they're disappointed, or once the person changes, they're not interested anymore. It's so weird.
Right.
Why would you want to go out with somebody that you want to change? How can you love somebody that isn't what you already want?
Right.
I don't
Right.
understand that. And then they get upset because this person's not the person that they wanted. And they
But
often say, he changed. He wasn't like that. Well, honey, yes, he was. You just weren't paying attention. You were putting your ideals onto him.
But Kimberly, he's so good looking and he makes good money and he's like the dream guy and everything that I wanted.
Right. But he's not what you wanted. Yeah.
So now here I am overlooking all these flaws and
exactly. And guys do it with girls. If she's a pretty
right.
girl, oh my goodness.
Right. Yeah.
There
So
are
have
guys.
realistic expectations, y'all. Remember, every couple argues too.
Yeah.
Every couple argues. So
Mhm.
don't expect not to argue.
And if you have an argument, do not character assassinate. Do not go for the jugular. Don't say the thing that you know is going to hurt your partner. Don't do that.
No, don't do that.
And don't walk out.
Words, no, don't walk out. Don't go to bed mad.
No. Don't
stay up and talk about it.
Yeah, because especially if you walk out, that person's going to have a feeling of abandonment, and that just degrades your trust. So the more you stick it out and try to work it out and not go to bed angry, that's a big one.
Right. Yeah.
That's like old wise wisdom from generations ago. Never go to bed mad. Never leave mad, and always give them a kiss, because you never know if it's the last time.
You never know. You seriously never know. My cousin literally, so my cousin's husband, and this was even on April Fool's Day, my cousin's husband goes to walk to the store and he never comes back. The store is just right up the street. He got hit by a train on the way back.
Wow.
He just left the house and was coming back.
Somebody
so you never know.
Yeah, somebody that I used to date a long time ago, another life. That's what it feels like. His mother was married, and it was New Year's Eve, and they got into this huge fight. And so he left in the middle of the night, got in his car and left, and got into a car accident and died. So, yeah. And
that's so sad.
Yes, because she felt so responsible, and she felt so horrible for their last interaction. So, don't leave, work it out. Nothing is that important. Jonathan Traylor, who has actually been on Unified before in season 1, he was the one that did the kidney transplant episode. He says, just agree, and then he laughs. But he says, no, seriously, I think that trust goes a long way. April will be 20 years for us. So without trust, there is no love. You have to be able to trust that your partner will be there for you anytime and go through anything with you. I truly trust my wife completely with my whole heart and with my life. In 20 years, I've never questioned the level of trust between us.
So sweet.
I know. And then I did want to mention, too, that Elizabeth Eckhoff says, communication, trust, humor, taking a night once in a while, making time to show affection, and sex. And even if it's just cuddling with your partner. But sex is a great stress reliever and a mood booster. And I wanted to mention that because a lot of people don't talk enough about how sex is a really important part of a healthy relationship.
Yes, and it really is. One reason my marriage failed is because I was not on my meds at the time, and I just got where I didn't want to have sex, and we would argue a lot. And If you argue with somebody a lot, you don't want to have sex with them, and then you're cutting
Right.
each other down and all this stuff. And it all led to a demise there.
I think you have to be sexually compatible too, because if one person's needs are not being met, that can cause problems. And
It's so true.
yeah, and you got to be willing to really communicate about sex. And some people don't feel comfortable with that, but it's really a healthy part of a relationship. Otherwise, I always felt like otherwise you're just friends, really great friends and roommates. So I don't know. That's how
Right?
I feel about it. Sex makes it, even more intimate. So
Number 10, be genuine.
be genuine. Just be who you really are, and you got to appreciate your partner for who they are. There's a lot of people when you first get together, like when they first start dating, they know what the other person wants, so they kind of like put that foot forward. They work that up, right?
Don't be fake.
Yeah, because what's going to happen later when you're not doing that anymore? They're going to get really upset, and they're going to be like, "You've changed," because guess what? You have.
And guess what that breaks? Your trust.
Exactly, and they don't love you for you because you weren't yourself to begin with.
Right.
So, I mean, really, if you're looking for a real deep relationship, you have to bring yourself forward. You have to be genuine. So, Angie, what is the mantra of this week?
Love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about realizing that an imperfect person can make your life perfect.
Yeah, I love that. It's
That
true.
is so sweet.
It is really sweet. It's very romantic. And I do believe there is someone for everyone. And if you haven't found your person yet, the best is yet to come. So stay positive, and we'll see you next time. Remember, we're stronger together.
Have a great day, guys. Mask up. Peace out.
Unified through chronic and mental illness can be found at anchor.fm/unified. There you can find all social media links as well as other ways to listen.